everybody, and welcome to... Oh, no, wait.
No, we were ready.
No, I did the wrong intro. I didn't say what's bonking.
Oh, yeah, you're right. You messed up. Man.
Well, this is going in the blooper reel.
Tom, how long have we been doing this show for?
I don't know.
Come on.
It's been a... Okay, anyway. Okay, starting again. What's bonking, everybody, and welcome to Take Your Time, Persona 5 podcast, where we play Persona 5 Royal in real time, along with the real calendar dates. My name is Tom Marks, joined as always by Jonathon Dornbush. Jonathan!
Tom, do you think people are going to be upset when we break the cardinal rule of our podcast?
What's the cardinal rule of our podcast?
To play it in real time.
Oh, yeah, we've got some news about that, but it's not going to be as bad as you think, thankfully. But holidays are coming up. We've got some plans. But first, also, let's talk about this week a little bit. We're going to be talking about the week of November 29th through December 5th. This is obviously just a large week of free time.
No, is it? We're in December? Oh, my God.
Yeah, I know.
I was literally going to be like, no, that can't be right. You're on the wrong dates.
Yeah, those are the correct dates, unfortunately. Okay. Yes, it's going to be a week of free time. We have a... So let's talk about schedule real quick, because there's some things coming up. The holidays are coming up, and Jonathan and I would like to have a holiday. Hey, look at that. So the unfortunate thing about that is that, slight spoilers for those who haven't played the game before, Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, well, Christmas Eve, really, I think it is like the longest single day of this entire game. So we're trying to figure out how to play around that a little bit. So what we're going to do is... This week is free time. Next week is free time. The following week is the deadline in Shido's Palace, just where we're going to be talking about Shido's Palace discussion. We're going to be recording that episode ahead of time. So we're going to be recording that episode ahead of time. So what that means that if you want us to see your comments about Shido's Palace, you're going to need to post them on next week's video, because it's going to be too late by the time...
Or this week's. Right?
This week's? Next week's. Next week's the first video, and then Shido's Palace will come around. And No, this week's. You're right.
Yeah, because we're recording those two together. It's like when we first started the show. Yeah.
The stupid podcast. No. So, yes, you're going to have to post them under a spoiler warning on this week's episode, because then by the time we record next week, we'll be able to see your comments about Shido's Palace, if you want to say anything in particular. Then... the following week, we're going to record the Christmas episode ahead of time, so that we can then take that week of Christmas as a week. And then the following thing will be coming back. I think it's on like January 2nd is the following week when we record. Episode will go up on January 3rd, I believe.
Yeah.
That'll be us back to normal, and we'll kind of go back and look at some of the comments on the Christmas episode and try to catch up a little bit there, because that'll be a quieter week as well. So that's the general kind of plan going forward. Hopefully it doesn't matter much to you. If you're listening to this in the future, it will matter not at all. But that's the plan. We wanted to make sure people were informed ahead of time. But we've got some housekeeping from last week before we look at the future too, which is a double quiz from last week. I asked two questions, sort of, one and a half. The second question I asked, which is not a real quiz, but we got an answer immediately on.
It was like, I think the day the episode went up, Tom, we were like at work, like 20 minutes into work, and I was like, oh, hey, there's a comment. Someone did it. Someone did the math. So yeah, it was great.
So, Joe, thank you very much. The question itself was, for that dice rolling game I played, what are the odds, of rolling a 4, an 8, or a 12 on two 6-sided die that you roll 6 times. And not only did Joe give us the answer, they gave us like more than that answer too. So I'm not going to read the whole post, but basically it comes down to, and these are the correct answers. I tried to double check as best I could as a design major, that the odds of rolling a 4, an 8, or a 12 in 4 rolls is 68%. And the odds of rolling with 6 rolls is 82%. So that means that your chances only increase by using the cheat book by 14%, which seems ludicrously small.
Yeah, that seems like nothing compared to like 5 versus 99 seconds to input a fight combo.
Yeah, it's wild. but that's the odds. And Joe also points out, fun fact, the game would have to give you 17 rolls to have a greater than 99% chance of winning, which when you put it that way doesn't sound unreasonable. Just give the person 20 rolls and it's like, oh yeah, then it'll be fine.
Because the whole point of the cheat book is that like it's almost impossible to fail at that point is the idea.
Well, almost impossible in their eyes is 18%. That's the answer to that quiz. The answer to the other quiz, or the question was, what's the name of Shido's new political party? Jonathan, I assume you checked comments on this.
I did, yes.
Yeah, so we had 2 people who got it right, which was Red Panda and Hannah. And the correct answer is the United Future Party, which is a little on the nose for my taste.
I mean, it would have been more on the nose if it was like the United Future Sailing Party or just something really like the boat dudes party.
Forgive me for forgetting who wrote this, but there was a funny guess, which was the Yacht Club.
Oh, I saw that one. Yeah, that was really good.
It's a good goof.
I'll look that up while you continue to host.
Okay. We wanted to read some other comments too. Hannah, along with their guest, also said, talking about who the traitor could have been, I was actually a bit suspicious of Morgana when first playing, partly because there are still a lot we don't know about him, but also because Morgana in Arthurian legend is a good character who becomes an antagonist, which immediately made him sus to me, despite him just being an adorable cat. Sorry, Morgana. That's a really cool pull, right? That's something I didn't really piece together, and to a certain extent comes true, right? Morgana does break away and go off at one point and become not an antagonist, but like is at odds with the group. Yeah, so that's I think a fair assumption that could have been the one too, because they're also doing with Morgana like all the like, is Morgana actually a spooky shadow sort of like dream sequence stuff? So like. Yeah, I see that.
But back when we were talking about it, I realized, like, when I first played, I forgot to bring this up, but I do think it, for the most part, I guess, other than Makoto, which I think some people had mentioned as a possible suspect, like, Morgana is probably the only other one you would think, just because of the nature of Morgana's character, and that we have been kept in the dark, that we, like, the character itself has said they don't know things. Maybe this was a ploy all along, or
sure.
You know, like they found out and didn't tell us. It could have been something like that. But I think the thing that like prevents me from thinking, like, when you look back on stuff, the reason Morgana starts to fall apart is especially because often those scenes where things go fuzzy, Morgana is there, and so chances are Morgana would not have been the one to betray you if the key scenes were them telling you that info.
Or was the fuzziness Morgana drugging you so that you couldn't remember those moments?
How'd that cat get all those drugs, though? Where's Morgana hiding that?
Listen, that cat can pick a lock, so...
I'm just imagining it with like a little blow dart, and it's just like in its paws, it's like, and just knocks you out in the middle of a scene. Like, oh, I gotta go over here to this high perch. Don't bother me. I'm just a cat. It just knocks you out. Anyway, Zenpai was the person who said the yacht club. So
yes, thank you for that good goof. We also got a comment that I wanted to read out from Maeve, who said, "Just need to let y'all know that you're number 4 on my Spotify Wrapped Top podcasts. Thanks for making my year a little bit brighter. Also, I'm so excited for you to get to the royal content. I can't wait. I can't wait either, because this is getting up to a point where we're starting to get into the meat, or we're going to soon get into the meat of what's really, really new about royal. And I've seen it, and Jonathan hasn't, and I am very excited for you to see it.
And it only took 100 hours.
Yeah.
It's
wild.
I can't wait to get to it. I'm really, really excited because, yeah, obviously we started the show as basically just an excuse for you and me to talk to each other about a game we both love. Sure. And for me to finally see this content. But yeah, I'm very excited to be able to have that first impression, like, publicly now at this point.
Yeah.
And just on the other note of that comment, a, like, huge thank you. Many people were sending tweets or like tagging me in Instagram stories of like Take Your Time being in their top 5. Many people's number 1. I saw at least a handful of like number 1 most listened to. So thank you to everyone, like whether you jumped in and binged it or have been listening since we first debuted. Like that is so awesome. We, as I was saying, we started this as basically an excuse to talk to each other about this game and just put it out there for other people. So it's awesome that it's resonating with other people that way.
Agreed. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And to reward you for your generosity, we're going to talk about November 29th to December 5th.
We weren't going to. We were not going to do it.
It wasn't going to happen.
But now we are.
Yeah. One note is we're going to talk about On's Confidant line in full this week, but as usual, we're going to save that for the end after the quiz and everything, so that anybody who hasn't completed that, hurry up because we're running out of time, but also you can skip over if you don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
So, let's jump into it, because we got a big week of free time. This is, again, last week we had like half the week was free time, and then this week and next week are going to be entirely free time, and then the following week is the deadline, but also the bulk of it is free time. So, like, this is, I believe, I mean, I might be wrong about this, but I don't think I am, the longest section of just, like, free time where the game is really giving you all the leeway you need, and it's constantly being like, hey, did you hang out with your friends? Hey, did you check mementos? Hey, come on, hurry up. Well, not going to be much time left.
I do appreciate that it gives you that much runway toward the end of the game, because it is, especially as games ramp up toward their end, usually the side, not that this is side content, it's obviously a major part of the game, but like these things that you're doing day to day that are your free options could have easily fallen away to the side, especially like they could have used the excuse of, oh, Joker doesn't exist, so he needs to hide out, and like kind of gotten rid of free time, but if anything, it makes it feel more free. And so, I appreciate how much it is definitely a long chunk, and perhaps for a show like this, it doesn't make for the most bombastic and revelatory discussion week by week, but it does for the player, I think, give you a lot of runway to finally get everything done.
Well, that is something that is very funny about this week, or not this week, but this section of free time too, is like you said, you are in hiding, I guess. Like, it's so funny how much you just are not hiding.
Well, and especially because what's great is it's, like, obviously Royal fixed it a bit, but a notorious thing about this game was Morgana telling you, like, oh, you're too tired, it's time to go to bed. Almost every time you do something for this week and, like, for this period, they're like, well, I guess you're in hiding, it shouldn't be a problem, or, like, just remember to be safe. It's like, no, it would be a problem. I'm not being safe. I'm literally doing the thing I shouldn't be. Like, if you're running away from the law, the thing to do is not to go hang out with people publicly in the most busy, city centers that you can find.
Or, like, sneaking onto the roof of the school just so you can, like, grow onions, right? Yeah. Like,
it's great too, though. Man. I love being able to go to the school, and it's like, well, especially for me, it's very funny right now, because it's like, well, what do you want to go do? And it's like, I could go visit Makoto, my girlfriend, in the, like, student lounge or whatever, which would be, there's no way I would get through and someone didn't see me. But also it's like, do that or go hang out with Haru upstairs. And it's like, of course, that's what I've been doing because I need to get that rank up. But I just, I feel like a terrible boyfriend every time I do it.
This month, here, I'll make you feel even worse. This month, Makoto, you hang out with her. I mean, I guess there probably are some things in the school, but the place you meet up with her is actually the Yongenjaya train station now, like the subway station. Okay. So if you select that thing to go hang out with her, you just go to the station, and she's just like waiting at the platform for you.
I thought you were gonna be like, oh yeah, this month is also like one of the saddest months in her life. Like a lot of stuff is happening on the side that you're ignoring as a boyfriend. Like you're doing terribly.
It's real harsh. Yeah. So you're running around the city with your hood up, because that'll be enough. Except for all the times where then you go hang out with someone and you just take your hood down immediately. But yes, let's start with November 29th. What did you do on November 29th?
Well, disguises are for the weak, so I went out, and on the 29th, I hung out with Haru during the day, just as friends, just to make it clear. We're just hanging out as friends. And then in the evening, I worked at Crossroads to get that mementos request, because I knew it would happen pretty quickly. So I did get it that day. And I didn't write it down for every day, but I've really started, I realized I didn't really do this the first time I played. I am so using the Chihaya, like, affinity reading thing to make sure that I don't run out of time with people. So I have been doing that every day, been slipping her 5,000 yen, just on the sly every day, depending on where people are at. Do not sleep on using that feature, especially if you're, like, hoping to get as many Confidant lines together. It's super useful. you probably have enough money to do it at this point. Like, unless you're really bad at money management, I'm still like hundreds of thousands of yen deep. So I've been doing that every day, but most of my days this week will sound pretty repetitive, but that is my first day.
Okay, yeah, and the affinity thing, again, it's kind of late in the game now to be tooting this horn, but yes, 100%. The affinity thing is like, I haven't been mentioning it, but like I've been paying it every single day, even if there's nobody who needs a level up.
Yeah.
Right? Like I'm every day I go to a fortune teller lady in Tokyo. God, what's the name of it? Shinjuku. Mm-hmm. Excuse me. I go to a fortune teller lady in Shinjuku, and I give her a $50 bill, and I say, please make this young boy like me more.
Yep. So basically, to take out of context of what we're doing in the video game, I am running away from the law. I am like public enemy number 1, and I'm not going to school. Everyone thinks I'm dead, including the most powerful man in the country. I am going every day to a fortune teller and paying her, as you said, a $50 bill, 5,000 yen, to make some random person like me more. I'm then going to hang out with someone else in the evening while also asking my teacher to dress up as a maid and come either make coffee or do my laundry or make curry. Yeah. Mm-hmm. This is the life we're leading for December.
Yeah, basically.
It's great.
And specifically, I'm giving the fortune teller lady money to make a middle school boy like me so that he'll teach me how to shoot guns good.
Yeah, it's real great.
Which is just like a Hunter S. Thompson sentence if I've ever heard one. Like, it's just very strange.
I
love this game.
It's great. I feel so funny every time I give her money to for her to like me more. Like, I wish the game gave more of a conversation for that, where it's like, all right, that person should have received the message, and then it's just her being like, whoa, you seem pretty cool, or just like something dumb to...
That person should have received the message, you see, as she's putting the bill in her wallet.
Yeah, it's so
you're
weird.
You're just paying her to like you.
Yeah, it's so strange. I love it. It's just so funny, the like combination of things I'm doing, and it's like, oh yeah, and then on this day, I also went to go... buy a bunch of model guns from this gun shop, and then I went through a mysterious door in an alleyway. Don't worry about that one.
In the literal like representation, it would be that you just stood in an alleyway staring at the wall for a few minutes,
talking to 2 imaginary little girls.
Yeah, this game is great. Anyway,
what did you do on this first day?
I leveled Shinya, and then I maxed Oya.
Nice.
And I'm getting a little further along in Shinya. I forgot kind of how much I actually do generally enjoy his story. It's not like amazing, but he isn't... His relationship with Joker and like kind of the character that the development there is like, it's pretty neat and nice, and it does get you some really good things for the skills too. So that's good.
I think that's one of my lowest currently. I think by the end of the week I'm only at like rank 4 or 5, but that I do like where that one is going, and I think I'm gonna try to finish it up before it all ends.
And again, it is one of those things that is like the Shinya Confidant is, because guns are so much more useful in Royal.
Yeah,
it becomes so much more valuable. Yeah. But then on top of that, I think they reworked a lot of it. Like, I think his abilities are almost entirely different. Almost. And I might be misremembering that, but I believe so.
Okay.
Like, and as a result, they become really, really good. Like, one of my favorite strategies in this game, I think I've talked about it before, is, like, I'm still using the base gun for Joker because it has shock. And it is so incredibly powerful to be able to shock a persona or a shadow that doesn't have any weaknesses, and then you just ping them with the gun and you can constantly technical them every turn. And one of the skills, I think you probably just got this too, I think it's at level 5 with Shinya, is that it makes it more likely for ailments and guns to trigger or to happen. So suddenly your shotgun strategy is like even better, it is even more consistent. So yeah, he's He's one worth going into for sure in this game. It's just that when you get to the end of the calendar, if you've got other things to do, it's very easy to have him be by the wayside, because kind of like what we were talking about with Haru a while ago, like introducing a character this late in the story is just like, you're just not quite as connected with them as you would
exactly. Be. Yeah, and that's totally why, like, my first playthrough, as I've mentioned, I really didn't pay attention to Haru's line, because I was behind on a lot of people, and so...
Yeah.
It's easy, like you were saying with Shinya, to let him kind of fall away. But I agree, like, we've talked about it a bit throughout, but it is really funny how I think from the base game, guns were so, man, really be precious about when you use these things, because those 7 bullets are the only bullets you have, to now it's like they are a god to use them, like, the right way. It's wild.
Yeah, they're super strong now.
Yeah.
And I had some of that because I did do palace stuff later this week. So
nice.
Yeah, I was. God, they're just so effective.
This is the first. So I did mementos later this week. Not to spoil all of that, but yeah, I did mementos later this week, and it's the first time that because when you mentioned it, I didn't say on the show, but I didn't realize I could modify the guns to have abilities. I was just going for the guns that had the highest power.
Sure.
But going for those abilities, I realized would make for a more interesting strategy. So I tuned to that, and yeah, it made some fights of mementos just a breeze.
Well, how far are you along with EY?
That's a good question. I think, let me double check. I did when I went to mementos this week, it was doing his mementos request. So
gotcha.
I think rank 7 or 8.
Okay.
I think 8 is what it was. Yeah.
Well, so gun customization is something that we've had literally in the run of show as like, if there's a slow week, we'll talk about it for probably 5 months or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's not something that we've talked about much, but it is an interesting part of this game. So I want to dig into it just like a little bit this time, because the gun customization now is, like you said, you get initially the options are just, do you want to modify a gun to be higher power? Do you want it to be higher accuracy? Or do you want it to have some elemental effect that is determined by the specific gun you're using? Mm-hmm. And that's basically the option early on, and it costs you money. And then at some point, EY's makes it cost half as much to customize. And then at some point, your options get much wider. And then at some point, it's free. Yeah. And, like, that's kind of the progression of his gun customization. And the more options one is interesting, because it basically gives you, like, super versions of the customizations. So there's, like, more power, even more power for less accuracy, and then, like, an absurd amount of power, but you'll have, like, a 50% chance to miss, right? Yeah. And then there's the opposite, where it's, like, more accuracy, and then, like, less power, but, like, you will never miss a shot. And then there are some guns that can have, like, ice, fire, or electric, and you get to choose. And so it's, like, kind of a fun little thing, right? Like, I like trying to make that call. I like trying to determine when you do want to do, like, who cares more about power, who cares more about accuracy. I also like doing this thing where, like, if a character already has, like, a low number of bullets in their clip, then putting an elemental effect on them will be, like, less of a detriment, right? Like, Ryuji's shotgun goes from 3 shots to 2 with an elemental effect, rather than, like, other people who go from, like, 8 shots to 4, right?
Yeah.
So it's a fun little thing to play with, especially when it actually matters now, because guns, like, are usable.
Yeah, I'm so happy with how much more of a factor guns are, because I do think they can really even the playing field in fun ways, but also just be really interesting about, like, how you decide to incorporate them in. And not engaging with the customization, I think, you miss out on a lot of opportunities to do that. And to your point about, sorry, I'm very hyped up on coffee right now. The points between, like, power and accuracy, when I first started unlocking customization, I was like, well, of course, I just want more power. So I just put everything into the higher power ones. And then I was like, well, okay, something like On's gun that has a spread I can't control, I'd rather her be more accurate, because I don't want those bullets to be wasted across, 4 different enemies. And so I'd make hers more accurate versus, like Joker's, I would put more power in originally. And then something like Haru's, she's also very powerful just at the base, so I want to make sure that shot is accurate. But then, you start to put in the elemental effects, and as you were saying, it's amazing to be able to shock an enemy and technical them if they don't have any other weaknesses. Getting burn on enemies just to make sure you're getting stuff in as well. Obviously, you need to be safe about how you're attacking, because you don't want effects to translate to your party with a physical attack. But yeah, it's changed up the variety of how I approach so much, because originally, and I assume most people do, it is just like okay, I'm going to attack this bad guy and hope I eventually find the weakness for them until they might reveal what like their power is, and I can use the opposite. But here it's like, okay, from the start, maybe I can technical them to get a leg up from minute one. And it's it's so cool to be able to do that.
I mean, we'll talk about party composition later, right? But like it does influence your party composition with a lot of that stuff too, because once you've read the technical book that unlocks more technical options, nuke will trigger shock.
Yeah.
So suddenly you get into these situations where, like, you can, even if you manage to shock someone who's then, like, immune to gun or, like, resistant to physical, and you can't, like, trigger the shock with that, then suddenly you can be like, okay, well, I'll run Makoto in my party, and then I can trigger that. And, like, there's a lot of little fun interplay. The other thing I really like about it in this is, in the base game, you literally just, like, bought the better gun, and you would equip the better gun, and you wouldn't really think about it very much.
Yeah.
I think that because the guns of each party member are so different, where, like, clip size varies, aiming varies, power varies, accuracy varies, you're not just putting the same thing on everyone, right? Like, you're not there isn't, at least in my experience, and maybe I'm sure there's people out there who will say, oh, this is mathematically the best option or whatever, but, like, from just sort of, like, a normal playing through it standpoint, not min-maxing.
Yeah.
There isn't really a clear, like, oh, this is very much what you should have on every single person sort of option.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that, because it allows you just sort of, like, flex between whatever you want.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I'm sure there is, and I would imagine, because there are very dense guides for this game. Like,
of course.
There is probably a min-max for the gun portfolio to choose from. But it's the same way of, like, there's technically a min-max for the calendar to get the perfect timing, but then at that point you're not really playing the game. And so, for me, it's like, the gun stuff and the customization stuff is a thing where I haven't really looked up a guide for it, because I'm more just going by gut instinct for what I want my party to be. And it's caused me to switch up my party more than I was previously. Like, I think in the base game, I pretty much stuck with the same 4 people for the last, like, 4 palaces. But here I've been switching up quite a bit, and it's been a lot of fun to do that. Like, right now my party is Haru, Yusuke, Morgana, and Joker. And I don't think I ever had that group of 4 in the base game ever. And it's just been fun to mix and match, especially with I've been getting into the Persona side of things a bit more this time as well. So yeah, it's been the gun customization stuff has been a really fun addition.
Yeah, my party, I mean, we'll get into this more when we talk about the palace in 2 episodes from now, but my party has usually been towards the end of the game. During palace exploration, it's Ryuji, Makoto, Haru. And the reason for that is that when you use the, like, long-range grapple attack, sometimes it'll put a status effect on the enemies. So Haru is really good because her Sai can immediately trigger all of those for a technical. And then Makoto and Ryuji are really good with each other because Ryuji can shock and then Makoto can trigger it with a nuke. Yeah. And, like, I just like that little sort of synergy interplay. But, like, again, that doesn't mean that is, like, the be-all, end-all of it, right? Like, that's the fun thing that you're saying, right? Yeah. It's, like, you can mix it up and you can find things and you can find little strategies that you like. And I really like that.
Yeah, no, totally. And I mean, like, my first time playing, I think it was, like, I stuck with Yusuke, An, and Morgana because they were, like, the original group, and I just had, like, an affinity of not wanting to let them go, but mixing and matching has been a lot of fun this time around.
Yeah, totally. Okay, let's move on. That was fun to talk about that. Yeah, well, I mean, I'm glad we went into that because that was literally something that, like, that's like a check off the bucket list of, like, stuff we have to talk about in this podcast. Yeah. What's the other one? There's been one other, right, that's been on there forever.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, special battles. That's the other thing that's been on our checklist for, like, 4 months that we've never talked about.
I haven't done those in, like, 6 months, so let's maybe
we're not talking about that right now.
Yeah, we'll get there.
But we got one. Check that box. Move on. Yeah, so that evening I maxed Oya, which I'm really happy about. I'm getting to the point now where at this point in the week I literally only have EY left in evenings to level up.
Amazing. That's wild.
Yeah. So the next day.
Yeah.
Just November 30th. What did you do?
November 30th, there weren't a lot of people around, but I didn't want to go to the palace or anything, so I just hung out with An, since I had max ranked her last week, I think. And so just hung out, and I think I got a gift for the room. And then in the evening, I hung out with Hifumi because she wasn't final rank. But
gotcha.
I had so many people I wanted to put points into, so I was okay to hang out with her for an evening. I didn't get a gift or anything. Little selfish on her part, if I'm being honest. But
well,
what is she doing with all those pieces from her game? Like, she should just give me one. Every time I win, I get a Shogo piece. That's how it works, right?
I love the idea that shogi is like an
shogi.
Anti-game.
Excuse me, I don't know why I said shogo.
Or like, I love the idea that like, if you just played someone in chess in a park in New York or whatever, and you beat them, they'd be like, all right, here's my rook.
Yeah.
And like, suddenly they don't have a full chess set.
And then they're playing at a disadvantage because those guys are always so good. So, it only makes sense. But no, it is funny. It's not a complaint against the game, but it's a very amusing thing because there are some mini games and stuff in here, obviously, like the batting cages or the darts and everything. My brain is always like, okay, when I go to interact with a confidant who is centered around a game, we should play the mini game. Like, that should be what you do. But I can understand them not wanting to like pause the game or put that in there. But my brain always is just like, why aren't I playing shogi with her?
Yeah, Persona 5 at least doesn't have a ton of like mini-games. Like, even the mini-games that there are, like darts and batting, are like fairly simple, right? Like, unlike compared to, like, I'm thinking of stuff like Yakuza, right? Where Yakuza's mini-games are like pretty elaborate, right? Yeah.
Well, you can't you run whole businesses as a minigame in Yakuza?
Yeah, I would hesitate to call the business a minigame.
Okay, I haven't played Yakuza, so
it is a massive optional thing that is just a completely different game.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Answer me this: does Yakuza have a calendar?
No.
Okay.
Well, no, it does not.
Just wondering.
It does not have a calendar system the same.
It would have made a good candidate then for this show, but I was just curious. What did you?
That game also takes place over like 2 weeks or something, so it's a quick one.
We do a 2-week podcast. It's a mini series. What did you do on the 30th?
On the 30th, I maxed Futaba, so that's nice. And then now that means I literally only have Makoto and Shinya to finish off during the day.
Cool.
And then in the evening, I started the great adventure of hanging out with the twins because I had no one else to hang out with. So I did the first twin sort of confidant line thing, which was going to Big Bang Burger.
Nice. Yeah.
And if anybody is like us and is running out of stuff to do in the evenings, and forgot about the twin hangouts, I'd 100% recommend doing them because they are, if at the point where you have nothing else valuable to do with your evening, and you're like, I could work out and get health, but I don't know why. Like, they are really fun little narrative moments. And so I would encourage people to, if they ignored those or forgot about them, go back when you have just like nothing else to do and you're looking for stuff.
That's once I run out of evenings, because I still do have a few, but I imagine by like the last week of free time I will probably run out of evenings.
Sure.
That's probably going to be my focus. I don't want you to tell me, but I'm just so curious how time works in the DLC section, like in the Royal section. I just want to know, but I don't want you to tell me. Anyway,
I will not say anything then.
Good, thank you. No, but you need to keep the show going.
Oh,
okay. Yeah, you have to talk in that way.
So yeah, I maxed Futaba and hung out with the twins on November 30th. Nice. So let's go to... It's December.
Christmas time.
Jingle bells. This was the first week that we had snow, right? One of these days has snow. I didn't mark it down, but... Yeah.
No, I think it's either December 1st or 2nd. It's really funny because you can get so many things for a while that are like, affects ailments during snow or whatever, and it's like there's been no snow, and it's like, okay, well, yeah, you have to wait for December.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I believe that day was 70 degrees Fahrenheit where I live.
It was so warm. Oh my God. Like
California has not had a white winter this year.
Just like very small aside. It's been a little cooler today and yesterday in SF, at least proper. But my God, was December 1st. We literally used the air conditioning in our apartment. And like, that for someone who grew up on the East Coast where it was always snowing and like 2 degrees in January, not a thing I am used to.
Well, this is a funny thing about this show, right? Is we started this in April.
Yeah.
And one of the things I've commented on before and I really like is when, like, the characters are complaining it's hot during the summer and I'm, like, in my house with the AC on and it's hot. Or, like, they're talking about how it's raining and it's, like, actually raining outside. And I thought that was always really cool. And now we get into the winter and I'm like, oh, yeah, it's California. We don't have weather here.
We're not, we're not going to get snow, which is such a bummer.
We're not going to get the cold of this game at all.
We have to go to Tahoe to get some snow. But, yeah.
Basically. So December 1st.
Yeah.
I leveled Shinya again.
Nice.
Because my strategy here has been, I think I talked about this at the end of last week, because I have so many more levels with Shinya, I'm taking Shinya whenever I can, because I should be able to, I think I'm going to be able to max out all the Confidants before the end of the deadline, but like, it's going to require that I get Shinya's Mementos thing, and we're going to require this and that, and so I'm trying to focus him a little bit more.
Cool. And then the evening?
The evening... there's like kind of a text conversation from the group about how like this is like the one little bit of story that we get in the middle of all this about how they're talking about how like everything calmed down way too fast, basically, like unnaturally fast. Like no one's talking about your supposed suicide in prison anymore, right? Like it just all went away already and everyone's just like happy about Shido and nothing, like the Phantom Thieves don't exist in the news anymore in like a very unnatural way. So there was that little text conversation.
Yeah, there's...
and then... go ahead.
I was just going to say, it's been like a switch was flipped. It isn't like a gradual sort of, Shido's pretty cool. It's like, oh yeah, Shido's the best human being. What are the Phantom Thieves?
Sure. Yeah. And then the evening I maxed EY. So I'm done with my evening Confidants.
Have fun.
Yay!
December 1st, I got Haru to rank 7. And then I got Chihaya a rank up. I think that I forgot to write the rank, but I think it was rank 5 or 6. Somewhere in the
I think 5 is when you get the affinity thing.
Then it was probably 6 or 7.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would make sense then. So yeah, I just a pretty simple day. I didn't do anything else of note most of these days in terms of like shopping or anything. It was a lot of just like getting through hangouts.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
That's a lot of how this week felt like to me, except for December 2nd. What did you do December 2nd?
I ranked up, my autocorrect says I ranked up hair to rank 8.
Oh.
So
congrats.
Thank you.
It has been looking voluminous lately.
I've been trying. Not this morning. But Haru got up to rank 8 on December 2nd. And then Oya, because I've been pumping points into Chihaya and Oya, alternatively, because it was like who's going to be able to hang out with first, and then so Oya was this night, and then got her up to rank 7. So
nice,
getting there.
So December 2nd, I did the Palace, which we're not talking about yet, but I did play through the entirety of the Palace this day.
Nice.
It's a longer one. If anybody hasn't done it yet, it does take a little bit longer. And then the other thing I did was, right before the Palace, I spent, like, literally an hour in the Velvet Room, just, like, combining and mixing and matching and, like, getting my guys up and, like, just sort of, like, making space. And I think I did that too much. This is the point where if you have too much money, the game breaks. Because suddenly you're level 60, I think I was when I went into this Palace. You're level 60, and, like, your personas are level 82. And, like, you're making a persona, and it's like, are you sure you want to do this? It's going to cost you $150,000. And you're just like, yeah, okay, that's fine.
Why not? Yeah.
I got that.
Yeah, I made a couple personas at one day this week, and he was like, 67,000 yen. Are you sure you want to spend that? And I'm like, yeah, I don't care. Doesn't matter.
and that's not, like, a problem. I don't think that's, like, a problem, the design of the game or whatever. I like that it lets you feel powerful if you've been playing right. Because you can not have this money if you don't... Or not... I shouldn't say playing right, but, like, if you've been going after money, it rewards you by actually giving you very large money sinks to spend it on, which I think is great. I think that's a good thing.
Though it continues to be a funny thing whenever anyone you know is like, man, I don't know if I can afford that when we go out for food, or like, man, it's tough to be able to spend money right now. And you're just like, yeah, me too. There's no money in my wallet. Rough times. I gotta go spend money on fictional creatures.
Yeah. It's, I wonder what the twins used that money for, though.
That's a good point. Yeah. What is... I mean, they are experiencing the world, you know?
It's true. So, speaking of, that evening, I took the twins to a movie.
Nice. Yeah,
So,
I did
just
that
another
one
twins date
a while back, but yeah, those are
cool.
They're very fun and silly.
I forgot you did a couple a little while ago.
Then I completely forgot about them. So
yeah,
I'm gonna go back to them soon.
And that's the second.
That's the second. Yeah. Then we got
The
December 3rd. Indeed. I got Shinya to rank 4, so slower goings with him, but got him to rank 4. And then in the evening, finally got Hifumi to max rank. So finished that storyline, which I don't think I did the first time around, but I very much enjoyed it this time. Obviously, we can talk about it at some point, but enjoyed that one a lot. And I'm also... I guess my evenings now are Iwai, Oya, and Chihaya, so I'm just rounding the trio of them out. But I think all of them are past rank 7, so it shouldn't be too much more.
Nice.
What about you, though?
That day, I leveled Shinya as well. I think I either got him to 4 or 5.
Okay.
One of those.
Yeah.
I think 5, maybe.
Yeah, you're a little bit ahead, I think.
Yeah, and then that evening... I took the twins to the gym. This is a funny one too. I won't get into the spoilery details of it, but like this is one of those ones where we were wondering, like, if you've gone to the gym 15 times and are like a master of all the equipment, does the scene change? Because you get really tired during it, but like I imagine it doesn't.
Yeah,
but who knows?
Well, I mean, that's the funny thing, too, of, like, I went to the gym for the first time a week or two ago, and it's like, I've been just, you know, incredible for 6 palaces doing amazing acrobatics and jumping around, and then the treadmill for 10 minutes is like, oh my god, what am I doing? And it's just very funny that, like, that stuff still gets gated if you don't interact with it, which is very cute.
Yeah, you gotta work. Gotta work out. And then we could go to December 4th?
Yeah. Keep rolling through. December 4th, I went to Mementos that day.
Okay.
So, yeah, I had about 4 or 5 requests, and I think 2 of them were Confidant related. Like, I needed to do EYs, and I think there was one other I needed to do. And then I had also that one related to Shinya, the, like, cheater one, Mementos request, where you have to, like, go out and learn a special move and then go back in.
Right.
So I had a few of those, but they were, what was funny about this Mementos trip was, and obviously I haven't gone through everything, but they were really spread out because I had a couple really old requests as well. So it was very funny to be like 3 or 4 sections back in Mementos and just to be demolishing, running into enemy after enemy. Like even the area before the current one that I'm in, I was able to just demolish through. And so it was a very speedy Mementos trip, which is usually not the case, but
Sure.
I was just bulldozing through guys.
Yeah, I think they put a lot of the Confidant Mementos requests early on too, because they don't want those to be like you're not strong enough or whatever, or like you haven't, like they don't want them to be in later sections.
Yeah, like if you speed run a certain Confidant line, they don't want you stuck by like 20 levels. So yeah, it makes sense.
Or like have you not unlock the part of Mementos that
yes,
it's in
that
yet.
too. So
yeah,
they're naturally then going to be a little easier, which totally makes sense. But it was a fun light Mementos trip. But normally when I go into Mementos, it's like, okay, gonna hunker down for like 3 to 4 hours and listen to a few podcasts. This one I did in like an hour. It just went by really quickly. I upped things a little bit. I think I'm getting like 140% experience at the moment. and then just like 6 items, 140% money every time. It's just like Mementos is just like a candy store at this point to go in.
Yeah, it is.
But yeah.
It's very funny too, because I love the way that they let you modify the world with Jose and all that, but also after the, like, you know, a couple months ago where we started getting to the point where we had millions of yen all the time, like it does have this problem where it's like, so more money I don't need, and more items is basically more money. So I'm just going to focus on more experience.
Yeah, I realized that a little too late probably when I should have.
No. I'm the same as you, where I have like my money is at like 130, 140, and my items are at like 6 or 7, right? And then I was like, oh, I should just focus on experience now.
Exactly, yeah. I put 1 into money this time, and then I did that, and I was like, oh, I didn't need to do that. I'm getting like 7 items that I'm all just going to sell because half of them I don't need. So yeah, it's been a funny Mementos trip, but I still obviously have a bit more to go in there. But I did that. And then, of course, got a totally normal massage from my teacher in the evening. And because I had done the Confidant line, was able to rank up EY that evening. And I think it was rank 7 or 8. Because he does have
it should be going to 8.
Okay,
I believe his has stopped at 7.
Cool. Yeah, then I got him up to rank 8, and he called me by my name for the first time instead of just calling me Kid. It was very sweet. But yeah, that was my December 4th.
Cool.
What did you do?
So that day I sent the calling card because I had nothing else to do.
Nice.
And slight spoilers, but this calling card day is like it's unlike the other ones where you don't send the calling card and then go the next day. So I actually did have an evening that evening, too. Cool. I sent the calling card, and then that evening, I hung out with the twins.
Yeah.
Because guess who's not limited to specific days in their Confidant hangout times?
I mean, thank God that they're not.
Yeah.
But
there are a couple. This is a shame. There are a couple. I think we're past both of them now. I think there are 2 special twin days where like I think one is like Halloween if you go out and hang out with them. Then there's like they do a special thing that you can only get that day. And then the rest of them are just not limited.
That's cute. Yeah.
Well,
for the next playthrough.
Yeah. December 5th, our last day of the week.
Our last day, I got Haru to rank 9, so very close to maxing that one out. And then I guess Shinya will be...
And did you date her?
I didn't, no, and it was very sad.
Isn't it?
It was so sad. Oh, man.
She's so sad about it, dude.
I mean, like, I think, you know, if I hadn't been dating Makoto, I think I would have said yes because of how sad you told me she got. But I wasn't gonna date multiple people, and so just that was my choice.
So you want to hear something amazing?
Yeah.
There's something incredible about this podcast where we just get so lucky sometimes in the timing of things. Because today, for my afternoon, I leveled Makoto to 9.
How did she take it?
Literally on the same day,
we turned down each other's girlfriends. So fun.
Completely unplanned.
This is not. This is not like, That's amazing.
We don't discuss what we're gonna do ahead of podcasts. If anybody's wondering that, like, it's not like apart from having to plan out like next week, right? We're doing a double or whatever. Like, we don't decide what we're doing.
No, that timing is wild though. Like, of all days for it to match up, for us to do that on the same day is ridiculous.
Especially because, like, you get Makoto a long time ago.
Yeah, you've just been delayed on her.
The fact that she's my last party member, and the fact that we both got 9 on the same day for the like, and it's not like you knew I was doing Haru.
I know. Well, you know, at least they both could find consolation in us, in the opposite person.
The difference between letting Makoto down and letting Haru down is Makoto is just like, yeah, you're my friend, and it's all great. And Haru is like, you've broken her heart.
Oh, yeah, there's a, like... You know, this is not the focus of Persona, but generally, like, the human faces and the human work, there's not a lot of, like, subtlety that happens with them often. Like, no disrespect to the work being done, but that just wasn't where the focus was in the animation most of the time.
Sure, you get a little bit of, you get a couple little things here, you get some pink cheeks here and there for embarrassment. That's about it, yeah.
The look that Haru, like, the in-character model sitting on the couch, the way she, like, looks away from you and just like the sadness of it is so pointed. Yep. It's incredible.
Yep. This is what I'm saying. This is what I was saying last week, I think it was, when I started dating her, is like a lot of the characters will be very excited if you say you want to be with them, and then they'll just sort of act like that was never a reality that could have happened if you say no, right?
Yeah.
Like, On is a really good example of this. On is just like, if you say, I want to be with you, she literally says, I love you right away. And if you don't, she's just like, yeah, we're friends and this is great. Yeah. And Futaba is another similar one where she's like, yeah, we're like really good friends, or like suddenly she'll be into you or whatever, and that's weird. Yeah. But Haru is one of the very, very few. I think Chihaya kind of is into you, but it's not really a big deal, right? Haru is, as far as I understand, like can remember, the only one where if you say no to her, it's very clear that like that character had a crush on Joker, whether you wanted to date her or not.
Yes, yeah. It's the only rejection I can think of that is like that, because most of the adult characters are they like whatever about it.
Sure.
And then like your age wise, because I turned down Makoto the first time around. It wasn't that bad. As you said,
no, it's fine.
On wasn't that bad. What's funny is I dated On the first time around, and like, all due respect, I think On is really great as a friend in the Confidant line and everything. If you date On, she kind of doesn't care about you. Like, you're sort of dating her, and you feel like an afterthought. I'm not gonna lie. It kind of feels like she's dating you because she almost feels like she has to.
Well,
so
yeah. Well, I love this timing. I think this is brilliant.
This is amazing. We can. I don't think there's any other like romantic thing that's gonna come up as to hit that timing, but that's amazing.
No, I'm done with all of the people that could be dated.
Yeah, that's wild. Well, yeah. In that case, Haru rank 9 for me, and then I think another rank up in the evening. So yeah,
nice. And I took the twins out.
Yeah. Careful, it's going to be a shame to have to reject them.
Yeah. My favorite running joke of the twins is just that everyone thinks they're children.
Yes.
That is, it's very good.
And they hate it, right?
Yeah.
Like, they're like, you insolent human being.
Yeah.
They're a lot.
Very funny.
Have you watched Steven Universe?
Only a little bit.
Okay. Have you met a character named Peridot?
No.
Okay. Well, for anyone who listens or watches, in my opinion, the twins have strong Peridot vibes. And I would love some confirmation on that. But yeah, anyway.
And that's our week.
Yeah.
So that's the week of November 29th to December 5th. We're going to be, again, doing another kind of Confidant line week next week. Or, sorry, Confidant line. Free time next week, probably with another Confidant if we can figure out who we're going to talk about next.
Yeah.
Because it will be another kind of week like this. But we do want to talk about On's Confidant line this week.
Yeah.
And kind of the arc that character goes through. But first, we're going to do our normal housekeeping stuff, so anybody who doesn't want to hear that can bail. So let's start off with our quizzes. Jonathan, give me your persona pseudonym for the week.
So what's fun about this one is you've gone through Shido's Palace.
But there's some complicated ones. I'm not fully confident.
Okay. Well, let me pull up then just one or two extras. This first one I'll give you is known as the Monk of the Valley. Monk of the Valley.
What?
Has nothing to do with Tony Shalhoub or the hit USA show Monk.
Monk of the Valley.
Monk of the Valley.
So this is interesting because usually the monks I think of as being this certain line of personas.
Sure.
But I don't remember fighting that persona in this palace.
Interesting.
Or any of those personas.
I can't confirm or deny if they're still in it in Royal, though they were listed under the Royal persona.
So what I'm going to go with is maybe wrong.
Okay.
But is the only thing I can think of that might fit this.
Okay.
That I actually fought.
Go for it.
Is it Hanuman?
It is not.
Okay.
It is Kurama Tengu.
Kurama Tengu is along the line. He's got the shell, right?
Yeah, he's purple with wings.
Yeah, and he's got isn't he holding
he's holding
like a
something.
seashell? I thought he was holding like a seashell.
Yeah, he's holding up like a conch as an instrument. Yeah.
That's who I thought it might be.
Yeah.
But I didn't think that dude was I didn't remember the name, so I wouldn't have gotten it anyway. Not gonna lie about that. But B, I don't remember fighting that guy. Interesting.
Let me see if I can give you another just real quick. This is the dancing lion.
Well, it's not the dog. Dancing lion? I don't know. This is screwing me up.
Damn. Well, you know what? Maybe I'll leave that one for a cliffhanger for next week. If anyone knows who the dancing lion is, write in the comments and don't look it up. You cheaters. I know what you're doing. The
dancing lion sounds like it would be... What is it? Shisa?
No. Nope.
This is hurting me.
Dang, I was trying to think how rude can I be about it.
No, I wasn't feeling confident for this one, but also didn't expect it to go that bad.
We'll see. You'll pick it back up next week, I'm sure.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Let's do our pop quiz for this week.
Yeah.
Which is, we've both been hanging out with Shinya. And I assume other people are running out of things to do during the day and are also hanging out with Shinya somewhat. So this is from one of Shinya's Confidant lines that I think we've both done at this point.
Okay.
I don't remember exactly. It's in the 2 to 4 range.
Gotcha.
In there. So a question about our good gamer friend, the king. Jonathan.
Yes.
And viewers at home.
Just me this time.
What is Shinya's favorite food? That's your question for next week. Please leave a comment on Dornology YouTube channel. You can tweet at us I'm at Tom R. Marks. He's at JM Dornbush. You can send an email at dornology@gmail.com. Any of those places. We'd love to hear what the answer is to what is Shinya's favorite food, which is briefly mentioned at one point by him in his Confidant line.
I mean, it's obviously Mountain Dew, but we'll see.
Code Red?
Yeah, he's a gamer, naturally.
Yeah, that's fair.
Anyway.
That's all we've got for the bulk of our show. If you don't want to hear about On's Confidant line, run away. But we're going to talk about On now, who is one of my favorite characters and how much she kind of grows over the course of, if not her actual... She grows a lot in her actual Confidant line, but also just kind of the course of the game. She changes a lot in really nice ways.
Yeah. Which is the benefit of having someone introduced so early in the game, for sure.
Totally. But we get On's rank 1 way back at the beginning of the game through actual story stuff with Kamoshida, because you need her to go into the palace with you.
Yeah.
So that's very, very early on. And her actual Confidant line kind of revolves around 2 things, are sort of the central kind of crux of her character development here, which is 1, Shido, not Shido, Shiho.
Shido appeared minute 1.
Yeah. Shiho being in the hospital after the incident way early on in the game, and kind of her recovery, and On helping her through that recovery, and also how that recovery is impacting on herself, right, in the way she's thinking about different things and herself. And the other part of this is her being a model, and this other bitchy model,
Wow.
Just hey, I said it, being confrontational and trying to screw her up, but also sort of putting her in her place that she isn't really trying at being a model. And that's sort of the development that she goes through, is this idea, these conflicting things of her being losing her confidence in herself and trying to find some way to be sure of herself more, be confident, be able to go for what she actually wants out of life, which she doesn't really know yet. And it's probably it's more character development than a lot of, I think, the main kind of party members get generally.
Yeah, and I do think it helps being sort of twofold like that, and I do appreciate that it goes to both those places, because Obviously, I think what's interesting about it is it works whether you like just mainlined On's Confidant line early on because she was one of the first people in your party, or if you waited. Like hers, I don't think is hurt by the wait, because if anything, it just implies that like Shiho has been on a longer recovery period.
Sure.
And On's, modeling career is just a part of her life. It sort of allows it to be both those things. Or if you do it really quickly, it's like, okay, it's just been the focus of her life right now. I think it worked surprisingly well in both those ways. But yeah, I agree with you. Like I guess the themes that are being dealt with on each side of it are really interesting and complementary, but different. Cause like the Shiho part of it is like, finding her strength to be there for someone else, to be a supportive, player in someone else's story, to be that sort of friend. And then the other one is also like, you are sort of the center of attention, but you also haven't had to work super hard at it necessarily. Like it does sort of deal with the idea of like the privilege of like, I think it comes up in one of the early conversations with the other model of like, On doesn't have a training regimen for modeling. She doesn't care what she's eating. Like none of that stuff matters. She just goes and models and is great at it, and everyone loves her and thinks she's beautiful and a perfect model. And it's like,
right.
Oh, that is true, but she does need to also work at this stuff and realize that she's navigating in this world with that bit of privilege. And I think it handles that stuff like pretty well.
Yeah, there's a complacency, right? That like she kind of didn't realize she had.
Yeah.
Where she just sort of like was coasting a little bit.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that the message there is generally basically like, hey, if like not everybody has what you have, right? And this is not speaking to On directly, like this is just a general message. Is like not everyone, like you might be good at a thing, but not everyone has that. And like if you don't work to keep something, right? Like if you're coasting on something that you have, like it's not gonna last, right?
Yeah.
Necessarily. You need to actually care about the work you're doing and the person you're trying to be in On's case. Because she's like, well, I won't be, at one point she's like, I won't be a model, instead I'll be an action hero because that'll inspire people. And like there's a kind of funny joke in there about like, well, she can't act at all, so
yeah,
is that career gonna work out for you? But then also like there's also just this other sub theme or other theme of like her trying to figure out what strength actually means, right? Like what does like being strong for somebody else or for yourself actually mean?
Yeah.
And I don't think that the game necessarily gives a great answer to that question or anything. Like, I think it does sort of give the, like, anime answer at a certain point of, like, I will be strong. And you're just like, okay.
Yes. Yeah.
But that doesn't necessarily take away from, like, the actual message of it, right? Like, it just means that this isn't, like, it isn't the deepest revelation for her to have or anything.
For sure.
It is... But, like, in the context of, like, this caricature of her situation, it's, like, it's interesting.
Yeah, it's definitely... I think caricature is absolutely right, because that's sort of how it feels at the start of it, where it's just, like, happy-go-lucky girl is getting all of the great modeling gigs, and no matter what she does, just seems to be perfect at it, and it's fine. And yeah, finding the layers to that, as you said, I don't think it goes super deep, but I do think it presents enough of an idea that On has grown in this experience, and then... Similarly on the Shiho side, and I do appreciate, like, there's a way they could have written it where it would have been kind of gross of, like, man, are you going to care about your friend or your modeling career? Like, you got to choose one. It never becomes about that. It's just showing, like, two sides of her development and her growth. And so on the Shiho side, it is about, like, knowing to be there for her friend, knowing the right, like, limits of how involved she should be, how involved she can be realistically, and being strong for her and how that can reflect on her life as well.
Yeah, and there's also kind of a dichotomy going on too of like On is getting kind of kicked to the curb in her modeling career for not trying hard enough.
Yeah.
Right? But then she's sort of like imprinting that on the Shiho side of things, where she's like, I saw Shiho and she was just like so weak, and I feel terrible about like the fact that I couldn't be there for her and I didn't see these signs and I like didn't stand up to Kamoshida in the way I could have, and she's really being hard on herself. And then later, there's also one of the ranks. She's like talking about how she went to the physical therapy. Shiho's physical therapy, and it was like Shiho was like in tears and like it was exhausting, and she just like couldn't believe how much strength Shiho had and how little she had, right? And like there's this kind of consistency in the Shiho storyline of like On being like, I couldn't be there for her. I'm not strong enough. She's so strong doing this, and I can't support her. I have to get strong for her. And then in the second to last thing with On, Shiho, it's you and On and Shiho go up onto the roof where Shiho jumped from so that Shiho can, like, Shiho wants to go see it, right? Yeah. Like, see the place it happened. And, like, there's this sort of break where, like, Shiho tells On, like, you're the only reason that I've been able to stay, like, your strength of, like, coming to see me and supporting me and, like, being there for me is the only reason I was able to, like, make it this far. Like, you inspired me to keep going. And so, like, I do like that sort of thing of like On is overconfident in one part of her life and like too hard on herself in another, and like that's an interesting sort of push and pull for this character. Like, I really do think this is a very interesting sort of journey she goes on, even if again it doesn't like, it's not like the most philosophically rich sort of conversation that's being had. It's still like neat and it's still engaging. It's
okay that I think it is the most complex thing at the end of the day of that message you were saying. But yeah, I do think they work really well hand in hand, and it is that dichotomy that I think is what makes it work so well. Of course, it is then a little weird with that rank 9 that it's like this whole big thing about Shiho's kind of realization about On strength and their back and forth there, and then it's like, now are we going to date?
Yeah. There's no, it's one of those Confidant moments or those rank ups where like Joker has no business being in that room with them.
Yeah, like I distinctly,
this is their moment.
I distinctly even remember when I did romance On in the first game of like in that moment being like, this is not really the right time for this. Like we don't need to be having this. But the game kind of like most of the other relationship ones, at least with people of your age, are usually still focused on the two of you. Where here it is like Shiho is such a factor in On's life here, and I think the like progression that she's going on, that is more the focus to me, and I almost wish the romance option was saved for rank 10 or another rank, because I do think that sort of storyline works so well on its own. It didn't need to also throw the romance stuff in there.
Well, here's my theory. My theory is it was supposed to be. Yeah. And something got added or shifted around, because the reason I think this is there's in the rank 10 scene, the rank 10 Confidant lines are, and please someone correct me in the comments if I'm wrong about this or misremembering or whatever, but almost always, at least as far as I can remember, the rank 10 one is always voiced the whole way through.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Whereas the others don't have VO. Rank 1 and rank 10 always have VO. Yeah. And the middles don't. The thing about On's rank 10 is that it's a two-parter where you go and you do the thing with Mika, the other model, kind of getting found out for being, like, changing people's schedules and that sort of thing. And On then has this great modeling shoot with her, and she's got her confidence back, and then you and her, Joker and her, talk a little bit. And then you're like, hey, let's go somewhere else, and you go, I think, to the cafe to talk. And then that's the section that's all voiced.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be surprised if the modeling thing was supposed to be rank 9.
Yeah.
And that was where the relationship thing was. And then the other thing was rank 10. And it just had to get shifted around for whatever reason.
For some reason,
Maybe that's not the case. Maybe I'm misremembering and there are other rank 10s that start with non. If there are, let me know. But yeah, it always felt to me like there might have been something that got like shifted around in development, which again isn't a complaint. That happens all the time, a million times in every game, and we don't see it, right? Mm-hmm. So
no, that totally makes sense if that were to be the case, and even if not, I totally get where you're coming from on it. But yeah, it's I think in the end it's juggling a lot as a Confidant line as well, especially for one of the earlier ones where like the second time around, you know, I did really enjoy the Ryuji storyline, but it's a pretty simple storyline for the most part with him. Whereas this one is going between topics a bit more. And so I appreciate what it does there. Again, I think just to like counterbalance it, the powers that you get at sort of the standard power set for a party member.
Yeah.
With On, so that's not like a huge revelation there or anything. But yeah, I'm like reflecting on this one. I enjoyed it, I think, a lot more just approaching it from trying to understand her growth and her storyline.
Yeah. Yeah. And it is a little bit messy in that way, the way it jumps around, right? Where, like, one time you're talking about Shiho, and the next time you're going to the gym with Ryuji and On, and then the next time you're at a modeling thing, and, like, it can be a little bit, like, jumbled.
For sure.
But I think as for someone for me who, like, did it over a pretty long period of time, right? It doesn't feel as weird because it feels more like you're just, like, hanging out with On over a long period of time.
Yeah, I think it works surprisingly well as a long-term one, even if it's one you probably naturally might finish earlier. I think it works really well long-term.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of generally our thoughts on On's Confidant line. Let us know in the comments what you think. I think it's a fun one. I think it's one that I really appreciate seeing her develop, and is also a character who she gets some development. Like we talked about, Ryuji doesn't really get much character development of his own in his Confidant line, but he gets lots in the story. I think On is one of those characters that gets both, which I like.
Totally. Yeah.
That's about all the time we have for, though. Morgana's telling us to go to sleep, so
look at how dark it is here. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you very much for joining us. Once again, I'm at Tom Marks on Twitter. Tom R. Marks. He's at JM Dornbush. Dornology@gmail.com. Dornology YouTube channel if you want to leave a comment. If we're in the top 5 of your Spotify thing, leave us a tweet. Let us know. We'd love to hear from you because it's very exciting that people are into the show. Yeah, so we always appreciate seeing that.
Thank you so much to everyone who already did, as we said. Like it's so awesome to see that. So yeah, thank you all so much.
Yeah, we greatly appreciate it. And Jonathan, unless you got anything else, I guess we'll see you next week.
I just wanted to bring up the finale of House, because I think what that episode really does well to wrap everything up. No, why is he leaving? Oh no, Tom. This is just like the finale of... I don't remember the finale of House. I'm lying to you all. I'm sorry. Goodbye.